I'll show you. This is the one I want you to do for your great grandchildren at Christmas. Seriously, this is the one. I'll do that. Now, you remember the picture of the parrot? What you've got to do is get an egg and cut the back out of it like that. So you can put your picture of your parrot in there like that. All right? Yeah. Now come down Christmas morning and you have all your family there, all playing lovely games and everything. And then I say, look, great grandchildren, I'm going to show you a trick. Then I say, hurry up and disappear. So look magical. Look magical, okay? And then say, look, I've got a picture of a parrot here. Don't tell them about eating it though. We get the play. And when you're getting it all pushed, don't forget to get the magic dust out of your pocket, otherwise I don't believe you. And that calls you the cover of going like that, because you can distract them. Show your hand empty. Don't use too much magic dust. Do you know what happens if you use too much magic dust? So Tom was practicing his magic tricks and loving them, and then the family up and moved to Southampton, where Tom got a job as an apprentice shipwright. Every week he'd buy a new trick. Never meant to as an apprentice buy a tool, aren't you? Tom never had no tools after a year. He had a big box of tricks, and he used to go in every day and practice them. The management loved him, and they would never sack Tom, and they used to just send him home. And then they had a big meeting. They said, we've got to get this magic out of Cooper's system. Keeps coming in and playing tricks and jokes on people. What we're going to do, in the Works Canteen this Friday, we're going to ask Tom to come in and perform for everyone, and then that'll be it. So they called him in. They said, would you like to do that, Tom? He said, yeah, I would. So that Friday afternoon, they were in the canteen. Hot, tough, sweaty face. And they're sitting there watching him, and Tom suddenly got a big stage fright. And he froze. They were laughing. He was thinking at him, but they were laughing with him, because they just were loving him. And all of a sudden, things started to get dropped and stuck, and he started crying and ran home. He ran all the way home and sat there thinking about what had happened. He didn't realise at this moment in time he was going to go on to be the highest paid performer on telly, $7.5 grand a week. That's a lot of money in those days. I wouldn't come here for that. But trust me, in the 70s, that was a lot of money. Okay, $7.5 grand. He didn't know that. He didn't know that they were going to record the laughter he generated on his shows and put them onto other shows, because they felt he generated the most real laughter. He was now sitting at home, he'd been crying, sitting on the end of the bed, looking in his mirror, reflecting. And it suddenly dawned on him, as the morning came up, that perhaps he should consider comedy magic. But 1940 came along. Anyone remember 1940? It was all in the papers. Tom got his call-up papers, and the same as myself, he was to join the cavalry. And he was going to be Trooper Cooper. And he loved to tell stories about his training, because when you do training in the army, you know, you do everything by numbers. And when you march in time, the sergeant major would call you up to attention, John! Be there, and on the command of 1, you bring your right knee up, thigh parallel to the ground. Remember that, lads? Tom would get his left and rights mixed up, so Sergeant Major called him up to attention, 1! And he'd have the left one up by mistake. Now, there's 2 speeds in the army: still as a statue, fast as greased lightning. If you keep still, you might get away with it. And the Sergeant Major's looking down the rank and file, And he suddenly realised, he said, who's that lunatic with both knees up in the air? He's on sentry duty. When you're on sentry duty, you've got to be nice and smart. On stag duty, 2 hours on, 4 hours off for 24 hours. And he's standing there like that with his rifle over his shoulder. And what you do, that people don't know, but you bend your knees and that takes the pressure off your back. So Tom's getting quite relaxed like this. And then he's closed his eyes like that. And you shouldn't really do that if you're on guard. A little tip if anyone gets any guard duty tonight. And he suddenly heard the crunching of the Sergeant Major's boots. Sergeant Majors can time their halt so they can stop exactly 1/4 of an inch away from your nose. And he knew that the Sergeant Major was there. He could feel the hot air off his nostrils. He thought, oh no, I'm in trouble again. But he had a brainwave this time. He just opened his eyes and went, Amen. So that's it. He got trained on horses, but then got shipped out to Egypt. And he was in the armoured cars. Same as myself, I was in the Chieftain, but Tom was in these little armoured cars, and he was only half an inch bigger than me. And I said to him, cool, Tom, did you get a bit claustrophobic? He said it was a bit tight in there. It was a bit claustrophobic in those armoured cars, especially for the horses. I said, what happened to all those lovely animals? He said it was okay. They got sent to the Army Catering Corps, the ACC, that was it, the Army Catering Corps. And that was a bit sad there, really. But no one seemed to be so sad about that. So then Tom was in there and he got shot in the right arm. And one of the most safest places to be, so they brought him in and said, what are we going to do with you through the Cooper? He said, what I want to do is join EMSA. Does everyone remember EMSA? Yeah. What does that stand for? It was each night something awful, wasn't it? But it was the Combined Entertainment Services is what it was, where they all got together and keep morale up. And Tom used to work hard in the nappies, honing in his act. And he used to wear a pith helmet to start off with, but he forgot it one day. And a waiter was walking past, and they all wear fezzes. And he just reached off, plucked it off his head, went, just like that. And he got a big reaction from the lads. They all thought it was funny being in kit with a fez on. And he knew what was funny, and that always was going to stay in the kit bag. So what we're going to do, Tom's behind here now, the spirit of Tom, I'm going to go and get him out, okay? And we're going to have a look at some of those tricks that he was practicing during the war years, in the nappy, keeping the spirits up, and see if you can remember them if you weren't out there with him. If you can remember them when you saw him on telly. Are you ready to come out, Tommy? Yeah, all right. Yeah. Tom, you're not dressed or anything. Get your fez off. Oh, right. Come. Wakey. Thank you. Thank you. Have you had a lovely tea?
Yeah.
I had to wake the eye there. I said to Alan, can I have a job? He said, we don't really like the workers eating with us. So I had to stay behind there for 4 hours. And he did throw me over a McDonald's. He said, see how you get on with that. And all I've got left in this bag is an empty bottle of Coke. Sir, you don't mind me calling you sir, do you? It's just my little joke. Have a look. Is there anything in there at all? Oh, okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this empty bottle of Coke into a full bottle of Scotch. Because I want a whiskey diet. I lost 3 days last week. A woman at the bar said to me earlier, "Do you always drink the whiskey neat?" And I said, "No. Sometimes I don't wear a tie and I let my shirt hang out." Whereas Andy being a magician, if you ever need a drink at the bar, you can put your hand in someone else's pocket. Empty bottle of Coke. You don't believe I've got an empty bottle of Coke in here, do you? Look, I'll show you. Empty bottle of Coke into a full bottle of Scotch. First of all, I have to say the magic words. As a royal, as a royal, a royal. Yes, it has turned into a full bottle of Scotch. This is the hard bit. I'm going to turn it back into an empty bottle of Coke. Yes, it's back. You don't believe it? No, I'll do it properly. You're not a bad boy. I'm just going to do the full act tonight. I'm not going to cancel anything. Okay. Have I interrupted you? I won't be. Okay. First of all, you have to make the bottle disappear invisibly. Out it goes. It's gone. It's gone.